What was the last question?
Is technology a game changer for business analysis or vice versa? Or business analysis game changer?
Same question, yes.
Business analysis depending on the domain.
Okay. So, after completion of this slide, we'll have our third question also. Look at this slide. How does an innovation happen? What is the life cycle of innovation? So, we have initiation, we have ideation, we have prototyping, we are operationalizing whatever prototype that we have, and we optimize the solution, and then we either throw it into the dustbin once it reaches a level of maturity, or we improve on it and then run it further and repeat it over and over again, right? So each of these areas, there is an analysis that happens in the innovation life cycle. What we are more interested in is look at the initiation stage where we have a need versus availability analysis. Do we really need this? Do we have something already available in the market? Do we need to improve on that? Will that become a business as usual, improvement of a business as usual? Do we run into the danger of doing something just for the sake of doing it? So this is the need versus availability analysis even before we initiate an innovation. The second is ideation. So we have shortlisted 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 areas where we'd like to ideate. So there we also need to have an optional analysis of the option. So within the ideation, do we have a solution that will have an impact immediately or later? Or do we have to invest more onto the technology? So there will be multiple options that will be available when you do an ideation, multiple challenges that will be available. So each of it you have to look at the pros and cons and then decide, analyze, and then give your recommendations. Then naturally there is the prototype, and then there is a toll gate, go or no-go decision. We have come up with the prototype, but is it still meeting up with the business user need? Is it filling up the gap of a business user need? Is it going to disrupt the legacy technology which is going to add value? Or is the overall the investment that has been made that we find the world has changed? There were multiple examples that we can think of. Most of the organizations that were in existence 10, 15 years back, they had invested in what we call electrical typewriters. From the manual typewriters, they graduated into electrical typewriters, right? There was this one company that was one of the manufacturers in India, I'm talking in India, one of the companies that was manufacturing electric typewriters, and the company was manufacturing electric typewriters, and the discussion was on whether to invest further in improving the electric typewriters to meet up with certain additional demands that they perceive that the market would need. But of course, the right sense prevailed because the advent of the desktop and the computer technology totally obliterated the electric typewriter technology. So we had prototypes, we had better products that were there, but when we went into the operationalization area, so we thought that there was no value that is getting added by this new innovation, right? So we in the gate itself, we decided from the prototype, we in the sense the company decided the prototype, from the prototypes thing, there was no point in going further. So the decision itself was stopped. Naturally, when you get into the operationalization area, you always get back to the customer. If you remember in one of the slides, get closer to the customer. That was a very, very critical point in the life cycle of innovation. We keep talking to the customer and understand whether is it creating any value or are they meeting up with the value that was expected. The continuous engagement with the customer would like us to would help the analysis, the technical and the business analysis, to continuously evaluate whether this product needs further improvement, whether we need to work on this, or whether we need to withdraw this particular product itself or the operation itself from the market. Naturally, then the next is optimization. Optimization is all about what we talked earlier. Make a product or a service or a practice perform better than what it was doing earlier. Again, think of the question. It shall not be business as usual. The optimization of analysis happens when you are in a position to improve the performance of a particular product or a service in a way that adds value to the customer, right? So again, you are going to look at it from the viewpoint of repeatability and validity. Can it be repeated? Can it be improved over a period of time? Many of you that are working in the software industry would remember that if you have to implement a very large solution for any customer, you do it in phases, right? So you do it in phase 1, you give certain amount of functionality, and phase 2 certain amount of functionality added to that, and so on and so forth, right? So is this adding the additional functionality that is given, even though we have discussed with the business user, we have arrived at the solution based on our understanding, technical and the business solution, is it going to add value to the one that is already in existence? Everywhere, every time that you come out with a new solution or a new innovation, you are going to think whether it is repeatable and whether it is valid that is getting into the system at this point in time, right? So this is what it is. And once you have this figured out, the innovation life cycle, where the analysis plays a major role in every point of this innovation life cycle, once you figured it out, I think that is where the analysis will be very successful. Just to give you one example, the analysis itself, if you remember in the beginning of the discussion I had mentioned, the analysis itself was given multiple names and multiple points of time. So internally when we were discussing, we got out a very grand example, Sony Walkman. You know, if you remember, most of you would remember that before the advent of Walkman, most people did not have something that they could carry in their hand through which they could listen to music. So most of them had this huge 2-in-1, that is the radio cum cassette recorder, that they had to carry in the trains and wherever that they wanted to go, but it was very cumbersome. So looking at that, Sony, the chairman of the organization himself, he played a role of analysis at that point in time. He analyzed the situation, and then he thought, why not bring out something that is easy to carry, easy to move, is mobile as a person's normal things that he takes, like a pen, a pencil, or whatever. So this was one of the greatest of analysis that was done. So this was not known as a business analysis at this point in time. You can put many examples. As Anand was mentioning in the initial part of the discussions, all these analyses are now getting structured, and the processes are getting defined, the templates are getting defined, and the interaction model between the technology and other groups are also getting defined. Okay, so this is we come to the last of the slides. Let us look if you have any questions here, which we can answer in the next few minutes. We have about 2 minutes. 2 minutes left. Okay, let me conclude. Then we'll have a question. You have another question for them, right?
Yeah.
We'll have a question, and then we'll try and answer if we can, time permitting. Right. So some of the views that we mentioned, the business analysis was always omnipresent. It was known by different names at different points in time. Sony was one of the greatest of the examples. And closer home, one of my colleagues was mentioning Tata. The nano car that was brought out was a typical analysis that was done on the market need. So the success or failure of the product is different, but this was an analysis done by the topmost person in the industry. And more, the analysis part of it will play the role of a change agent and strategic driver for innovative initiatives. That doesn't mean that the analysis, the operational level will be left over, the operational level will be jettisoned or moved away from that. No, that will also continuously happen. But the strategic level initiatives, the strategy that has been thought through as only from the top level person, is going to be driven more by the business and technology change agents that are going to be in the organization. It may be one, it may be two, it may be multiple people, but that is likely to happen in the next, this year itself. You will see it slowly change in the direction. And the technology innovation or any innovation will be collaborative efforts. Gone are the days when there was a Thomas Alva Edison who was in a position to invent multiple things and then register the IPR in his name. But that is not going to be the case anymore. There is going to be lots and lots of inputs required from many people that have expertise in many areas, right? So the business analysis, look at point number 4, the business analysis is required at every stage, which we explained in the previous slide, the innovation life cycle. Every site, at every stage of the innovation life cycle, analysis is required. Both no-go decisions, validity decisions, value decisions, all of them will be based upon an analysis where the business person, the technical person, and whoever that is there that is working on the ideation will have to provide their inputs. And the last but not the least, the optimization of innovation is facilitated by business analysis and driven by business need. So this is very, very critical. If you look at it, going back to one of the questions, unless there is a business need, the innovation is not going to be very successful. We come out with the solutions, but it doesn't fulfill a gap of in the market. So naturally, that has its own challenges in implementation. So we have reached the time